There's no other experience that I think gives you the opportunity to test your physical boundaries like cycling. It requires so much discipline and so much focus in order to achieve success, and it provides an environment to test that discipline and to test that focus. Cycling has been a huge part of my growth as a person. Even though I've always been a person, I think, that has been relatively disciplined and extremely focused on the task at hand, I think cycling has taken that level of focus and discipline to another level. To compete at a high level in cycling, you're going to have to make decisions. You're going to have to make sacrifices in order to be successful. Looking at life through that lens has been a huge part of my growth and my desire to go back to graduate school and to pursue a graduate degree and to continue to push myself in my career. I don't think that I would have had that ability to prioritize my life and structure my life in a way. I don't think I would have had that ability without cycling. As more people understand the sport and as the exposure of the sport is more widespread, I think more people are understanding the tactical requirements of the competitive side of the sport, and they're looking at cycling much more as a team sport, as they should, as opposed to strictly an individual sport. The training and the discipline required to succeed might be highly individualistic, but in terms of success at the highest levels of cycling, it's absolutely a team sport. A lot of people offer a stratified level of coaching where they might say, for this price, you'll have a limited amount of contact with the coach, maybe a limited amount of training plan edits, maybe you only have workouts that are delivered to you once a month, and then if you need changes or additions to those, then those are up to an athlete to figure out. And for me, while that might be useful to some athletes, for me, what I love most about coaching is I love being in the trenches with an athlete and helping them on a daily basis. That's what's most exciting to me as a coach, and that's what I think offers the most value to an athlete. There's a lot more to life than winning races, or there's a lot more to cycling than winning races. And I think that especially in the context of competitive cycling, obviously you have one person that wins a race. And so for most competitive cyclists will likely never win a race. And I think that probably the biggest lesson that I've learned is that cycling and getting stronger as a cyclist, especially as a competitive cyclist, it's a journey. There's incredible joy and incredible excitement in making small gains as a cyclist. And those gains might not necessarily lead to winning races, but those small gains and those improvements can be equally exciting. I think similarly to life, where there's moments where you have to take the initiative to make something happen, or take the initiative to pursue a dream of yours, and you have to be willing to go out on a limb and to take a risk. Racing is similar to that, in that there's all types of decisions in a race where you have to make a decision and you have to say, am I going to go out at 50%? Am I going to go out at 70%? Am I going to go out at 80%? Or am I going to drop everything and am I going to put it on the line in order to try and win? It requires this willingness to be reckless. And a failure to do that means you're not going to win. As I got more and more involved in the sport of cycling and really had a strong desire to make a living out of cycling and to make a living as a cycling coach, at that point, that's when I really started to think seriously about going back to school. And even though I had a bachelor's degree in exercise science, my desire was to push further and to try and further enhance my level of knowledge about exercise science and exercise physiology. For me, I was really excited to be able to go back to graduate school for really the first time in my life, to be able to immerse myself in a subject that was thrilling to me. To be able to go to class and to be able to study about cycling performance on a daily basis is incredibly exciting to me, not just as a person in terms of what interests me, but also in the level of insight I believe that it contributes to my coaching relationships with my clients. Being in graduate school and having access to the most current research on exercise physiology, it provides a different way of looking at training. Instead of looking at training decisions based on books and different sources of information that kind of have a slower evolution, it feels like you have an opportunity to be right on the edge of a field of exercise physiology that really is just beginning to find itself. And exercise science and exercise physiology is one of those fields that's just growing at a really rapid pace, and it's an exciting thing to be a part of.